The year was 2237. Humanity had grown bold, building great ships that could cross the stars. Earth was crowded, its oceans polluted, and its skies filled with smoke. So, leaders of Earth had chosen a daring plan. Send a great colony ship in two. The unknown. A single vessel, massive as a city, carrying thousands of men, women, and children. Inside its steel walls was a dream a new home. Far from war and hunger, the ship was named Aurora's Hope. For months, the journey was peaceful. The stars were endless, the engines strong, and hope filled the hearts of the colonists. Families laughed, children played in artificial parks, and workers dreamed of the planet that would soon belong to them. The colony ship was a promise, a place where humans could start again. But then, it happened. Somewhere beyond the charted maps, the Aurora's Hope passed into a strange region of space. First, the stars seemed to vanish. Windows showed only darkness, a deep black that swallowed light. Then, the ship's instruments began to fail. Screens went blank, alarms screamed, and captains shouted orders that went unanswered. Communication with Earth was lost, as if a giant hand had cut the signal. Fear spread through the ship. Mothers clutched their children, soldiers ran to their posts, and scientists searched for answers. But none came. Outside, the blackness grew thicker, heavier, as if space itself was alive. Days turned into weeks. Rations grew short. People whispered in the corridors about strange sounds, slow voices echoing in the dark, like whispers carried through the metal walls. At night, some claimed they saw lights moving outside the windows, but when others looked, there was nothing there. The Aurora's Hope was lost. No message ever returned to Earth. Officials declared the ship destroyed. And for 100 years, humanity mourned. The colony was gone, swallowed by the void. But that was not the truth. The Aurora's Hope had not been destroyed. It had been taken. When the colonists awoke, they were no longer where they had been. The blackness faded, replaced by the glow of strange suns. Around them were planets that no human had ever sent, giant worlds with purple skies, seas that burned like fire, and moons filled with forests of crystal. The colonists realized the impossible. They were not lost in empty space. They were in a new galaxy far beyond Earth's reach, and they were not alone. The first encounter came without warning. Scouts exploring a nearby planet vanished. When soldiers went searching, they found only scraps of broken armor and footprints, large and clawed, circling the site. Soon after, shapes appeared in the night sky, alien craft moving like shadows. Silent but watching at first, there was fear. The colonists thought these beings would kill them. But when the aliens finally stepped aboard the Aurora's Hope, they did not attack. They studied the humans, spoke in strange voices, and offered something shocking. They offered food. They offered water. And in return, they asked for something more unusual, something no human expected. The colonists soon learned that this galaxy was a dangerous place. Many alien races lived here, but few trusted each other. Wars burned across the stars. For humans, to survive, they had only two choices: remain prey, hunted and weak, or make an alliance. The leaders of the Aurora's Hope chose survival. They agreed to trade, to share knowledge, and in time, even to share families. Human blood and alien blood mixed, creating children that were neither fully human nor fully alien. These children were different, stronger, smarter, faster. Some colonists celebrated them as the future. Others whispered in fear, calling them abominations. Years passed. The original colonists grew old, but their children lived on, blending into the galaxy. What had begun as a human colony was now something far stranger: hidden society of hybrids. Half human, half alien, scattered among the stars. Yet, beneath the fragile peace, secrets burned. Some races hated the mixing of blood, others wanted to use the hybrids as weapons. And deep within the Aurora's hope, locked away in forgotten archives, lay a final mystery, a record from the ship's first captain. A message written on the day they vanished into darkness. It said only one thing. This was no accident. We were brought here. The truth was clear. The colony had not been lost by chance. Someone or something had taken them, and now, after 100 years, the children of humans and aliens would uncover why. The story of the vanishing colony was only the beginning. The colony had survived the first shock of their vanishing life. Aboard the Aurora's hope became a fight between despair and determination. The humans had no choice but to adapt. They rationed food, learned to repair broken machines with scraps, and tried to keep their courage alive. But beyond the steel walls of the ship, strange eyes were watching. One night, a patrol ship was sent to scout the nearby planet that glowed blue and silver in the distance. The patrol carried 6 brave explorers. Only one returned. His face was pale, his voice trembling, and his words filled the crew with horror. They were waiting for us. He spoke of tall figures with skin like stone, eyes burning like embers, and voices that shook the air. These beings had surrounded the team without a sound. They carried no weapons, yet the explorers could not move, as if an invisible hand had frozen their bodies. The survivor remembered one thing most clearly, a deep voice echoing in his mind. You do not belong here. Panic spread through the colony. Some wanted to retreat into hiding, never leaving the ship again. Others argued they must fight, prove that humanity was strong. But the truth was harsh. The colonists had no power, no army, no allies. If these beings wished, they could crush them like insects. The debate ended when the aliens came to the ship. Themselves, it was dawn on the colony's new world when the sky opened. A vessel unlike anything humans had ever built descended slowly, its surface shimmering like liquid metal. It made no sound, but the air vibrated as though the planet itself was trembling. Soldiers raised their rifles, children screamed, and families hid. The ship did not attack. Instead, it released a soft light, like a beacon. A ramp unfolded, and 3 alien figures stepped forward. They were taller than any human, and their bodies seemed carved from dark stone, moving with grace despite their heavy forms. Their eyes glowed faintly, shifting between red and gold, and when they spoke, their mouths did not move. Their voices rang directly inside human minds. Humans, the voice whispered, echoing in every skull aboard the ship. We know you. You are lost. The leaders of the Aurora's hope gathered in the meeting hall. Fear was thick in the air, but they had no choice but to listen. The aliens called themselves the Cathari. They had been watching the humans since their arrival. To the Cathari, humans were fragile, but also valuable. We will give you food. We'll give you water, the Cathari said. But in return, you must share with us what only your kind carries. Your knowledge, your life. The humans did not understand at first. Did the Cathari want machines, books, weapons? But the truth became clear when one of the Cathari reached out and touched a child. The alien's hand hovered above the boy's head, and his eyes glowed brighter. This one is strong, the alien murmured. Your blood is different. It can join with ours. Whispers spread like wildfire. The aliens were not asking for trade. They were asking for something far greater, in exchange of bloodlines, of families. They wanted humans to become one with them. The council was divided. Some leaders argued that such a union was unthinkable, a betrayal of humanity itself. Others saw it as the only chance for survival. Without the Cathari's help, the colony would die. There was no way back to Earth, no planet safe enough for Them to claim alone, days turned into nights filled with tension. Families argued in whispers. Mothers feared losing their children. Soldiers sharpened their weapons, though deep down they knew they could not fight the Cathari and win. Then, an accident changed everything. A young woman named Ilara, Kea. One of the scientists aboard the ship had been studying the alien visitors. Kea, she believed their motives were not purely selfish. She thought the Cathari feared something greater than themselves. One night, while repairing damaged systems near the alien ship, she collapsed. The Cathari carried her back to the Aurora's Hope, but when she woke, she was changed. Her eyes now glowed faintly in the dark. Her voice carried an echo, as if another presence lived inside her. She was still human, but not fully. She had become something else. The colonists were terrified. Some called her blessed, others cursed. The Cathari simply watched in silence. "This is only the beginning," they said. And so, the first bond between humans and aliens was made not by choice, but by fate. The colonists realized their survival was tied to the Cathari now. Whether they wished it or not, their bloodlines would mix. Their destinies would join. Yet deep in the shadows of the alien ship, Ilara heard whispers no one else could hear. A warning, a secret. "They brought you here for a reason," the voice whispered. But the Cathari are not the only ones watching. Ilara kept this secret, afraid of what it meant. She knew the colony's story was no longer about survival. It was about transformation. And not everyone would survive what was coming next. The first encounter had begun. The days after Ilara's transformation changed the colony forever. Some saw her glowing eyes as a miracle, a sign that humans and the Cathari could truly become one. Others whispered in fear, calling her cursed, unnatural, even dangerous. Children stared at her in silence, while soldiers avoided her gaze. But the Cathai were pleased. You see? Their leader spoke through the minds of the colonists. "Your kind was meant for us. Together, we will survive what is coming." What exactly was coming, the Cathari would not say. But behind closed doors, human leaders argued. To mix blood with an alien race was a step many could not accept. Earth was gone, their history lost, but some still clung to the old idea of human purity. Others, desperate to keep their people alive, whispered of bargains. And so a choice was made in secret, one that would never be written in official records. The humans agreed to form a pact with the Cathari. Not openly, not with the entire colony's knowledge, but in the shadows. A small group of families would offer their bloodlines, their children, to the Cathari. In exchange, the aliens would share food, medicine, and technology that kept the colony alive. The first exchange happened quietly. A human couple agreed to raise a child that carried both bloods. The birth was unlike anything the doctors had seen. The baby's eyes glowed faintly gold, and its skin shimmered when touched by light. Some cried in awe. Others recoiled in terror. The leaders thought the matter could be hidden. They were wrong. Word spread faster than they could control. Whispers filled the corridors of the Aurora's Hope. Stories of star children who could run faster than grown men, who could see in the dark, who could hear voices no one else could. The colony began to divide. Some praised the hybrids as the future of humanity. Others cursed them as monsters. Tension grew worse when the second alien race appeared. They were called the Sayar, beings of pale skin, thin as shadows, with eyes that reflected like mirrors. Unlike the Cathari, they did not offer peace. They accused the humans of violating sacred law. "You dare mix blood across races," they hissed. "Such unions are forbidden. You risk a war across the stars." For the first time, the colonists understood the danger of their decision. The galaxy was not a place of freedom, but of strict rules and ancient traditions. By creating hybrids, they had broken something sacred and the Sayari demanded it end. The Cathari refused. "These humans are under our protection," they declared. "Their blood carries strength. We will not stop." The Sayaris mirrored. Eyes flashed with fury. They warned that the humans had awakened a curse, a prophecy long feared among the stars. Children of two worlds will rise. They will bring fire. They will bring war. The colony trembled with fear. The leaders begged the Sayari to show mercy, but the aliens vanished into the night, leaving behind only their warning. The humans knew it was only a matter of time before others learned of what had been done. Meanwhile, the hybrids grew. They were not only stronger, but also different. They dreamed of places they had never seen, spoke words and languages no one had taught them, and felt emotions too powerful for their young age. One boy, barely 10, could lift a steel crate twice his size. A girl could sense when danger was near, her eyes glowing brighter whenever lies were spoken. Alara, now living among them, felt a strange connection to these children. Her own transformation had made her something between human and Cathari, and the hybrids looked at her as if she were their protector. But even she could not explain the strange power growing inside them. One night, as Alara walked through the ship's lower decks, she heard voices. Not whispers of the Cathari, but something deeper, darker. The hybrids were gathered in secret, their golden eyes glowing in the shadows. They spoke of visions, flashes of fire, broken stars, and endless battles across the sky. "They fear us," one of the children said in a voice too old for his years. "But soon, they will have no choice but to follow us." Chills ran down Alara's spine. These were not normal children. They were the future. Yes, but a future that might destroy everything. When she reported this to the council, they silenced her. "Do not speak of this again," they warned. "If the colony believes these children are dangerous, we will tear ourselves apart before the Sayar ever return." But Alara knew the truth could not be hidden forever. The Forbidden Pact had given the humans a chance at survival, but it had also created something far beyond their control. The hybrids were not simply a blend of blood, they were something new, something powerful, something unpredictable, and in the darkness of space, unseen by both humans and Cathari. Other alien races had begun to take notice. The colony thought they had secured their future. Instead, they had lit a fire that would burn across galaxies. The prophecy of the children of two worlds had begun. The Forbidden Pact had given the humans food, safety, and powerful allies. But peace was an illusion. The hybrids were growing. And with every passing year, their differences became impossible to hide. Children with glowing eyes played in the halls of Aurora's hope. Racing faster than any human could run, teenagers could lift machines heavier than their own bodies. Some could sense emotions, predicting fear, anger, or lies before words were spoken. At first, the colonists admired them. They were proof that humanity could survive in this strange galaxy. But admiration soon turned to fear. Parents whispered in secret, wondering if their own children would one day be replaced by these half-human beings. Soldiers muttered that the hybrids might not stay loyal when the Sayari or other alien enemies returned. The colony was dividing, piece by piece. One night, a council meeting turned violent. An elder shouted that the hybrids must be controlled, restricted, perhaps even exiled. Another leader defended them, calling them the hope of their people. Fists slammed on the table, guards drew weapons. And only silence from the Cathari representatives ended the fight. "The children of two worlds are not yours to command," the alien leader said calmly, his golden eyes glowing. "They are beyond you." That only made the humans more fearful. Elara, who had become the guardian of many hybrid children, saw the hatred growing around them. She tried to protect them, to teach them patience and kindness. But even she could feel the strange energy rising inside them. Some children obeyed. Others began to question why they should follow humans at all. It was then that the whispers of rebellion began. It started with a boy named Kale, the first hybrid born of the Forbidden Pact. Now nearly grown, he was taller, stronger, and more intelligent than any human his age. His golden eyes burned brighter than the others, and when he spoke, his voice carried weight, as if unseen forces moved with his words. "They fear us," he told the others. "But we are not weak. We are not mistakes. We are the future." The hybrids listened. Kale's words spread quickly, passed in secret meetings and hidden corners of the ship. Some hybrids still loved their human families and resisted his call. But others, angry at the fear and rejection they felt, joined him eagerly. They wanted more than survival. They wanted power, freedom, and a place of their own. Then came the prophecy. A fragment of ancient alien script was uncovered inside the Sayari ruins on a nearby moon. Akela was part of the team that found it. The writing, once translated, sent a chill through every heart. "The children of two worlds will rise. They'll bring rebellion, and from their fire, empires will fall." The council tried to keep it hidden, but word always finds a way to escape. Soon, the entire colony knew. The hybrids were no longer just strange children. They were prophecy, destiny, danger. Suspicion became paranoia. Humans avoided hybrids in the corridors. Markets refused to sell them food. Soldiers were ordered to watch closely, though. No crime had been committed. And then one of the hybrids vanished. Her name was Sira, a quiet girl with shimmering skin and a gift for sensing lies. She disappeared in the night, leaving only her torn necklace behind. Her human parents wept, but others whispered that she had run away to join Kale's secret gatherings. The truth was darker. Sira's body was found days later, hidden in the forests of the alien moon. Her death was brutal, her blood spilled on sacred Sayari stones. The message was clear. The Sayari had returned, and they had made their warning real. Fear exploded into anger. Some humans demanded the hybrids be handed over to the Sayari to protect the rest of the colony. Others refused, swearing to fight anyone who tried to take them. Kale, enraged by Sira's death, swore vengeance. "They will hunt us until we are gone," he told his followers, "unless we strike first." The rebellion had begun. Small acts of defiance shook the colony. Machines failed, food supplies vanished. Guards reported shadows moving where no one stood. Rumors spread that hybrids were sabotaging the colony, though no proof was ever found. Still, fear was enough. Families locked their doors, mothers kept their children close, and soldiers patrolled with rifles ready. Elara tried to stop it. She begged Kale to wait, to seek peace, to prove the prophecy false. But Kale only looked at her with burning eyes. "Peace," he said. "There is no peace. Not for us. They will never see us as family, only as weapons, only as curses." Elara's heart ached, for she knew he was not wrong. The colony was a fire waiting to burn. Humans against hybrids, hybrids against Sayari, Sayari against Cathari. The fragile threads holding them together were snapping one by one. And in the shadows of deep space, far beyond their sight, other alien races began to whisper of the prophecy. Word was spreading across the stars that a new force was rising. Force that could reshape galaxies. The seeds of rebellion had been planted. And soon, they would grow into something none of them could control. The rebellion had not yet broken into open war, but the colony was no longer at peace. Fear walked through the halls of Aurora's Hope like a silent ghost. Humans distrusted the hybrids. Hybrids whispered in secret. And the Sci-Fi shadow hung over everyone like a curse. Then came the first attack. It began in the deep hours of the night, when most colonists slept. A scream echoed through the lower decks, sharp enough to wake even those in the farthest cabins. Soldiers rushed toward the sound and found a blood trail leading into the maintenance tunnels. What they discovered there chilled their hearts. A guard lay torn apart, his armor ripped as if by claws. The lights flickered overhead, shadows twisting across the walls. Some swore they saw a figure vanish into the darkness, tall, swift, and inhuman. Rumors spread like fire. Some whispered the Sarai had returned, sending assassins to kill in the night. Others accused the hybrids, claiming their powers were growing wild, turning them into predators. But when Kale and his followers were questioned, they denied everything. "It is not us," Kale growled, his golden eyes blazing. "Something else hunts you." No one believed him. The following nights grew worse. Food stores were raided, equipment was smashed, and more colonists vanished. Their bodies were never found. Mothers clutched their children close, afraid to sleep. Soldiers doubled their patrols, but fear made their hands shake. Then Alara noticed something strange. Wherever the attacks occurred, the lights always failed first. The power flickered, leaving only shadows. And in those shadows, something moved, determined to find answers. She ventured into the tunnels with a small team of hybrids who still trusted her. The deeper they went, the darker it became. The air grew cold, damp, and heavy, as if the ship itself were breathing. That was when they heard it, a low whisper crawling through the metal walls. Not words, not exactly, but sounds that scraped against the mind. One of the hybrids froze in terror, his eyes glowing faintly. "It's calling to us," he whispered. The group pressed forward. And then they found it hidden behind broken panels and rusted pipes. A chamber none of them knew existed. And inside, half buried beneath layers of steel, was a ship, not human. Not Cathari, not Sayari. Its surface pulsed with faint light, like veins glowing under skin. Symbols marked its hull, shifting and twisting as if alive. Even Alara, who had seen alien wonders before, felt dread in her chest. "This was here before us," one hybrid whispered. "Before the Aurora's hope was even built." The realization struck like lightning. The humans had thought they were lost by accident, pulled into this galaxy by chance. But what if the ship they now found had been the true reason? What if someone had placed it beneath them, waiting to be discovered? Before they could answer, the shadows moved. Figures emerged, tall and thin, with bodies that seemed made of shifting darkness. Their eyes glowed white, empty, and cold. They moved without sound, sliding across the floor like smoke. One reached out with a clawed hand, and the nearest hybrid was dragged screaming into the dark. Chaos erupted. Alara fired her weapon, bolts of energy tearing holes in the walls, but the creatures barely flinched. The hybrids fought fiercely, their golden eyes blazing, but every wound they made simply closed again, as if the shadows themselves healed the creatures. "Run!" Alara shouted. They fled back through the tunnels, the whispers chasing them, scratching at their minds. By the time they reached safety, 2 more hybrids were gone, swallowed by the dark. The council listened in horror as Alara described what they had seen. But instead of uniting the colony, the discovery drove them further apart. Some believed the hybrids had awakened the creatures, that their unnatural blood had drawn the shadows out. Others claimed the Sayari had planted the hidden ship long ago, waiting for the prophecy to come true. Kale, however, saw it differently. "They fear us," he told his followers. "But these shadows fear us more. That is why they hide. That is why they hunt in darkness. They know what we will become." His words lit a fire in the hybrids. While humans grew more afraid, Kale's followers grew bolder. They believed the shadows were proof of their destiny, proof that only hybrids could face the horrors lurking in the galaxy. Elara, torn between sides, feared the truth. The prophecy was no longer just whispers. It was unfolding before her eyes. The children of two worlds were rising, and shadows in the dark had come to stop them. But why? That question haunted her every night. She remembered the words she once heard in her dreams. The voice that had whispered when she first changed, "You were brought here for a reason." Now she began to understand. The colony was not simply lost. It was chosen. And the shadows were only the beginning. The colony had not recovered from the shadow attacks. Families lived in fear. Soldiers patrolled endlessly, and whispers of rebellion echoed through every corridor of Aurora's hope. The hybrids were no longer seen as strange children. They were seen as weapons, as curses, as the prophecy itself. And then, the lost one returned. His name had once been Arik, one of the first hybrids born of the Forbidden Pact. He vanished years ago without a trace. A boy stolen from his family in the night. Many thought he had been taken by the Sayari. Others believed the shadows had consumed him. His parents had wept, and the colony had moved on, convinced he was gone forever. But now he stood at the gates of Aurora's hope. Taller, older, and changed beyond recognition. His eyes burned not gold, but silver, glowing with an unnatural light. His body carried marks patterns etched into his skin, symbols that pulsed faintly like the hull of the hidden shadow ship. And he was not alone. Behind him marched other alien figures in armor, black as night, carrying weapons the colonists had never seen. They were not Sayari, not Cathari, not any race the humans knew. They were rebels, outcasts from alien empires. Warriors who claimed no flag but followed Arik as their leader. "I have returned," Kay said, his voice deep, echoing through the minds of everyone present. "And I bring truth with me." The council gathered in fear and confusion. Elara sat among them, her heart pounding as she looked at the boy she had once held in her arms as a child. He was no longer a boy. It was something else, something greater, or perhaps something far more dangerous. Arik revealed what had happened. He had not been taken by shadows or Sayar. He had left willingly, guided by visions that called him beyond the stars. Those visions led him to the buried ship, and beyond, into the hands of ancient rebels who had fought against the Sayari's laws for centuries. They believed in the prophecy of the children of two worlds and saw in Arik their chosen leader. "You were never lost," Arik told the colonists. "You were brought here, chosen. The Sari feared what you would become. So they tried to bind you with laws, with fear, with blood. But you are not slaves of destiny. You are destiny itself." His words split the colony even further. Hybrids rallied to him, seeing in Arik the hope of freedom. Humans were divided. Some believed his return was a blessing. Others saw only danger in his silver eyes. But Arik was not finished. He revealed the greatest secret of all. The hidden ship buried beneath the colony was not Sayar. It was human at first. No one believed him. But when Arik led them to the chamber, the truth was undeniable. Beneath the shifting alien symbols were markings only humans could recognize: letters, words, fragments of Earth's forgotten languages. The ship was ancient, older than the Aurora's hope, yet it carried human design. "This is proof," Arik declared. "You were not lost by chance. You were brought here by those who came before you. Humanity reached this galaxy long ago, and they left behind a weapon waiting for the day you would awaken it." The buried ship began to stir. Lights glowed across its surface, and the ground trembled as if the vessel itself was alive. The rebels Arik brought with him knelt before it. Their heads bowed in reverence. But not everyone was ready to believe. Kale, the fiery hybrid who had begun the whispers of rebellion, glared at Arik. "You claim to lead us," he said. "But you abandoned us. You let us suffer while you played hero among strangers. Why should we follow you now?" Tension filled the chamber. Hybrids turned against hybrids, humans against humans. Some shouted Arik's name, others cursed it. Weapons were drawn, and, for a moment, it seemed blood would spill across the ancient ship. Then the shadows struck again. From the dark corners of the chamber, white-eyed creatures emerged, their claws scraping the walls, their whispers filling the air. Screams echoed. As soldiers fired blindly and hybrids unleashed their unnatural strength. But the shadows were stronger here, closer to the ship. Arik stepped forward, raising his hands. The silver glow in his eyes blazed, and the markings on his skin lit like fire. For the first time, the shadows recoiled, hissing in pain, shrinking. Back into the dark, the colonists watched in awe. Even Kale was silent. Arik turned to them, his voice carrying through the chaos. "This ship is the key. It is the weapon the shadows fear. With it, we can survive. With it, we can rule. But the choice is yours. Will you cling to fear, or will you rise and claim your place among the stars?" The chamber fell into silence, the echoes of his words burning in every heart. For the first time, the prophecy did not feel like doom. It felt like destiny. But Alara, standing at the edge, felt a deeper dread. She remembered the prophecies. Final line, one she had never spoken aloud. "Children of two worlds will rise, they will bring fire. And from their fire, empires will fall." Arik had returned. He had brought truth, power, and hope. But he had also brought fire. And fire does not choose what it burns. The buried ship was awake. Its surface glowed with human symbols, yet its power felt older than any technology the colonists had ever known. It hummed with energy, shaking the ground, as if a heart had begun to beat inside metal veins. For the colony, there was no turning back. The prophecy had unfolded. The hybrids were no longer children, they were the center of destiny. And now, the ship offered them one last chance, escape or empire. Arik stood at its core, silver light blazing in his eyes. Around him, the rebels bowed in loyalty. He raised his voice so all could hear. "This ship is ours. It belongs to humanity. With it, we can escape the Sayari, the shadows, and every enemy that seeks to destroy us. Or we can use it to rule. With this power, no empire can stand against us." His words split the chamber in two. Some colonists cried for escape, begging to leave the cursed galaxy and return home, even if Earth no longer existed. Others shouted for war, desperate to seize power after generations of fear. And in the middle stood Kale. His golden eyes burned as he faced Arik. "You speak of destiny," Kale growled, "but you sound like the Sayari themselves. They claim to control fate, to write laws for all. You would do the same, only with different chains." Hybrids rallied to their leaders. Some to Kale, some to Arik. Humans took sides as well, dividing the colony down the middle. Yalara, heart heavy, stepped forward. "Listen to yourselves. You are tearing us apart. This ship is not just a weapon, it is a test. If we choose wrongly, it will destroy us before it saves us." But her words fell like stones into the ocean, lost beneath the roar of anger. Then, the shadows came. The chamber lights dimmed, and the whispers returned, scraping voices crawling through every mind. From the walls, from the floor, from the dark corners, the white-eyed creatures poured in. Their claws ripped through steel, their forms shifting like living smoke. The Sayar followed. Their ships descended above the colony, beams of cold light striking the surface. The mirror-eyed aliens declared their judgment. The prophecy must end. The children of two worlds must burn. Chaos exploded. Humans screamed, soldiers fired, hybrids leaped into battle. The chamber became a storm of fire, steel, and shadows. Eric stood tall, silver light blazing from his body. Kale fought beside him, golden eyes aflame, though neither trusted the other. For the first time, the two most powerful hybrids fought. Side by side, not against each other, but against the darkness threatening to consume them all. Ilara raced to the heart of the ship. She had discovered its systems long ago, hidden behind alien symbols that only now made sense. The ship was not only a vessel, it was alive, waiting for a command, waiting for a choice. On its console, two paths glowed: launch or awaken. To launch meant escape the ship would break the galaxy's chains, carrying the colony away to unknown stars, beyond Sci-Fi, beyond shadows. Perhaps back toward Earth. To awaken meant power. The ship would unleash its true strength, a weapon that could burn empires, crush enemies, and make the prophecy real. But once awakened, there would be no going back. Ilara's hands trembled. Behind her, she heard screams, the clash of claws and blades, the roar of alien voices. Arik shouted for her to awaken the ship. Kale shouted for her to launch it. Both demanded. Both believed she knew only one choice could be made. The shadows surged closer, reaching for her, their whispers screaming inside her skull. Choose, choose, choose. With a cry, Ilara pressed her hand to the console. The ship roared alive, shaking the ground. Light exploded from its core, a beam tearing through the chamber roof and into the skies. Sci-Fi ships shattered like glass. Shadows burned to ash, and the colony itself shook as though the world was ending. And then silence. When the light faded, the Aurora's hope was gone. The colonists, the hybrids, the rebels, vanished with the ship, carried into the unknown. Some believed they had escaped to freedom. Others believed they had awakened the weapon and doomed a galaxy. All that remained was the scorched ground. And the whisper of prophecy carried through the stars. Children of two worlds will rise. They will bring fire, and from their fire, empires will fall. No one knew if the prophecy had been fulfilled, or if it had only just begun. Far away, in a quiet corner of space, a flicker of light appeared, a ship moving between stars, faster than anything ever seen before. Inside it, humans and hybrids stood together, staring into the endless void. What awaited them was unknown. Salvation or conquest, peace or war. The final choice had been made, but its cost was yet to be revealed.